All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. This is Tommy Nichols, founder of the Charlotte Black Film Festival, and we're here with another night of Filmmaker Q&A. And this is Block 10 out of Block 11. Block 10 out of Block 11. Woo! And so it's been very, very interesting, but so empowering. If you guys had a chance to listen to any of the panel discussions that we had centered around film, which some of you guys were on some of those panels, today we did something about the elders. It was a film that came out, and we had just an amazing elders from Charlotte that responded. One gentleman who his daughter did the film as a birthday gift to him. He was in the bed. He was actually in the bed, has ASL, and he came in on the bed with twos and his wife next to him to participate in the panel.
Wow.
And his wisdom was amazing. His wisdom was amazing. And so that right there just I said, wow. I mean, it's just amazing, just being able to exchange the life source that God has given us. You know what I mean? And it's just been powerful, many of the discussions. But here we're on block number 10, which is interesting. Block 10, which is the TV web series, which is very interesting, TV web series. So let's go around the room. First of all, let me have everyone introduce yourself, where you're from, and the name of your project, okay? Let's start with, is it Brenny?
Yeah, that's correct. You got it right. I'm Brenny Toulouse, and I am a producer and lead actor on B-Sides, the series.
Good. Lynn.
Hi, my name is Lynn Q. Young. I'm the director and one of the producers of B-Sides, the TV series pilot.
Awesome. Constance.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Constance McIntyre of South Florida. Keep our families in prayer from the condo that has some devastation. But I am the director and producer for Social Justice, Finding My Voice.
And is it Katasha? Katasha, is that how you say it, Katasha?
Katasha. Mm-hmm.
Katasha and Nathaniel, go ahead, talk about yourself.
Hi, I'm Katasha Acosta. I'm the creator, producer, and writer, and one of the lead actors in B-Sides, the series.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nathaniel Blake Johnson, and I'm one of the producers and co-writer for B-Sides.
Great. One of the things that is so interesting that I'm hearing from folks who've watched films, watch your film and the other films, I mean, they're blown away. These are individuals that participated on some of the panels from the outside, and they were just blown away with the level of, with the content, the storytelling, the impactfulness, or just how they could relate to some of the stories. And it's just really, really amazing. And so we look at B-Side as this web series. You guys really have a strong team, right? And talk about how that team came together and what are some of the challenges and what are some of the pros in the mix.
I mean, I'm going to start, but I want y'all to jump in. And I'm going to try to be short and concise as I can, because it's a lot. The main start of the team, we met in grad school. Mm-hmm. We were all getting our MFAs, be it in acting or writing or directing. That's how we met. Upon graduating, we realized that the classics that we had acted in and studied were not really things that we were going to readily be selected for. So that was, an impetus for us to write our own and create our own and do it from our perspective. And we are all close friends, but we're all very different. So we wanted to create something that was not Black women were not a monolith. So it required that the team that came on board saw the vision. And sometimes we thought people saw the vision and it didn't work out. And that's where Lynn Q came in, and I'm gonna let her pick up from there.
It's one of those things, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I came on about about maybe a week to a week and a half prior to actual principal photography.
It was about 2.5, 3. Yeah.
3 weeks?
Maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2.5.
Yeah, it definitely felt like we were on a very fast conveyor belt toward principal photography. And what happened was, this is, as a writer director, I am usually aware of everything that's going on. And it's, I'm dealing with a blank page. When it came to B-sides, pretty much it was already casted. They already had their locations. The only thing is that they needed a director. So whenever I choose projects like that coming from not being the writer, it's so important that I identify and can actually bring this vision to life in the best way possible. I mean, I don't think it's fair. Like, if I just want to work and just get on a project and I don't actually give it the due justice that it needs and give it feet and wings. It was one of those things where I came in kind of at the last minute, and I just kind of, it felt like family kind of right away. That stuff don't normally happen, you know what I mean? And it's one thing feeling like family, but it also, when it comes to creative family, that's sometimes really hard to get. You have to share sensibilities, you have to share a certain level of understanding and respect, and that happened automatically, especially with these 3 individuals that are here right now that are representing B-sides.
Interesting. And so how does that work? How did you guys determine who is going to be the head? I mean, who's going to be the person that's going to kind of take the lead from your producer's role? Or were you guys equally, how did you guys decide that, or if that even existed?
When basically what happened was, when I came back from Williamstown Theater Festival, every network that came to visit, every agent and manager that came, the first question that they asked was, "Are you creating your own content?" And I was like, "I've been in grad school for 3 years. No, I'm not." But when I got back, I gathered these people together. Lin Q, we hadn't met Lin Q yet. But I gathered these people together and I said, let's do something. Let's write down our thoughts, let's write down our ideas, and let's do something. And I personally had created short films when I lived in LA before. Brenny had produced theater, and she had worked on sets, and she was familiar with producing and things like that. Nate was writing, and he wanted to learn producing, and he wanted to be a part of that, as well as we had 2 other producers that wanted to become producers. They wanted to learn. So it was really about who knew the most at the time, and how we could share that information and let it trickle down, and then have everybody come up. Gotcha. So that's how that came.
Gotcha. Yeah, I want to come back to that, especially with you, Lynn. I'm going to come back. I have an important question for you. Hello, Ms. Lumpkin. Unmute yourself and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and the name of your project.
Hi, I am Viviana Lumpkin, and I am from Miami, Florida, and we are, I'm at my husband's tattoo shop, so that's why I look, I'm looking around like, who's around? But anyway, I'm with Carroll City Middle School. So Dr. McIntyre's on here as well, I believe. And that's all. What else do you guys want to know?
What role did you play?
I actually helped conceptualize the project. I wanted to do a Black History showcase with our students, and I thought it was very important for us to talk about social justice and the climate that we're currently in. A lot of the times our students aren't fully aware of what's going on in their environment, but I think for the most part, a lot of the things that are currently going on, the students are well aware of and have a voice. So this gave them a voice and an opportunity to be heard. And I we wanted to do, you know, several of the parts, but because we were kind of short for time and we kept pivoting because of the quarantining and things like that, we didn't get an opportunity to shoot the other films that we had in mind. But this one turned out so great. So,
so Constance, talk about working with the young people. First of all, let's talk about how did this project come about? And I know you guys are over there. You guys have a wheelhouse of kicking out projects and working with young people and those kind of things. But what inspired this particular project?
Well, absolutely. The conversation that Ms. Lumpkin just said, we were at a space where the kids needed an outlet of expression, number one. Number two, because it was Black History Month and we wanted to make sure they had a voice, this was a great opportunity to do so. So by discussing it and talking with the kids, having a couple auditions of them, there's one young lady that sings her own song. She wrote her own song, providing that opportunity for them. We just found a space to make it happen, because originally when we were going to do it, a lot of the kids got quarantined. And we were like walking in the hallway and we're like, this going to even happen? So we actually filmed that within, I believe it was like a 6-period class, which is an hour and 45, maybe hour and 25 minutes. We had a class period, if anybody know blocks in middle school, to actually film all of that.
What boundaries did you give these young people? Because you can give young people, we want them to express themselves,
Yeah.
and you find them speaking their minds, it can go all over the place. So, what was the boundaries or tasks that you submitted to them to express?
Yeah, I would say that the subject first, the content. What are we speaking about? Social justice. What does it mean to you? Stick to that. The poem that the young lady wrote, she had already written it, just finding the context that can relate to that so she can have self-expression. The guy that was a drummer, Jalen, is having him have a moment just to explore himself, to within that time frame. Vivian, you want to say anything else, Ms. Lumpkin?
yes, yeah, absolutely. We gave, I think at the time, one of our social studies teachers, our 6th grade social studies teacher, was doing a similar activity. So the students had already kind of formulated their ideas in her class, in her course, and with she did kind of a short video as well, and they had already formulated these ideas. So we just helped them sharpen them up and make them, bite size for this particular project.
Good. So, Katasha, you said you went to this particular theater event and you were posed a question. It's almost like that became fire up under you. Like we got to do something, right? And so you got that. How did that create this particular story or this series called B-Side?
Well, when I gathered everyone together, we really talked about our experiences, and we knew our experiences in grad school. We knew that what we had fought for and what we had fought for together, and at times lost, but hopefully made a dent and influenced some change. But it was traumatic and it was tiring. And we, from that, in many different forms and over 9 months, it morphed into how we wear masks and how we have this private pain, but when we walk out the door, we create a public persona.
Yeah.
So it was, how can we put on screen and show our humanity in a way where we really show people three-dimensional people who are different, but share a commonality, the commonality of love and safe space. How can we show that without highlighting trauma?
Yeah.
Acknowledging it, but not highlighting it.
Yeah. And you created it in a way that so many people can identify with, the different characters, and that was really, really good. Lynn, I'm coming to you, Rennie, but Lynn, how did you, you mentioned earlier, walking into a project kind of with a blank canvas, right? You know, and I had to think about that too as a director. And you know, when you produce and you write, you know, you visualizing this thing. You were there from the beginning. And so now here you come in, everything's done. And,
Right.
and which probably cut off some of your creativity. I'm thinking, I don't know. Talk about that, because I'm just thinking about how I would be in that space, because I'm seeing locations, I'm seeing the different people, I'm seeing all of this, but then it's taken, it's not, I don't have that. So talk about
I feel you. Well, I was actually just coming off of, I think I just finished my classes at NYU grad film. So I was a thesis student. So it was an incredible, I love a challenge. I love a great challenge. And I think when you're, to be honest with you, I think that you often really need to tap into your creativity when you're dealing with enormous limitations. You know what I mean? Then you have to really be creative. So I loved that challenge. I also was able to, when I read it, I'm already envisioning things. And as a director, that's what's going to bring, I mean, regardless, making sure that everything is, of course, production design is on point and everything. And I've actually worked with the production designer on one of my films prior, one of my student films prior. So I felt extremely comfortable with Christelle being the production designer. I felt comfortable in that way. And I was actually referred over by a very good friend. So I knew kind of that the connection there was going to be real anyway. But reading the script, you know, it's about Black women. It's about 4 Black women. It's about 4 Black films. It's about Black relationships, Black love. And it's, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm already familiar with this. I'm already familiar with this in so many ways. So to be able to collaborate with people like Natasha and Brenny and Nathaniel, it was a challenge, but it was a challenge that we all met together, you know? So I didn't feel by myself. I didn't feel alone. And I felt like it was something that I completely doable and I can serve the story well.
Good. Constant and Ms. Lumpkin, you both can talk about this. When you work with young people like this and you hear their voices, you see potential, right? Do you see how many young people have now determined or mentioned to you, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to create content. Can you help me do this or do that? Talk about the experience and the exposure the young people have received and what was their response to it.
Well, I'm gonna speak about Genevicia, one of the young ladies who does the singing, and also Daniel. They're both foster kids in the system. And Genevicia, since this time, during that time, she was, to me, kind of closed in. I wasn't really connected to her as much. But through this, she has expressed now that she wants to go to Juilliard. And her facial expressions and her conversation is like a light bulb has just really clicked. And she seems to be more inspired. The same thing with Daniel. He has a brief moment, but he's in another project that we're working with. Daniel is in a case where he's almost like aging out of the system and with school. So he's in a time frame of really finding his voice. But Daniel is very colorful. And he has gravitated to these particular projects as like being validated. Like, I do have a voice and I'm going to stand by who I am no matter what. Ms. Lumpkin?
I agree. I totally agree about Genevicia and Daniel. In addition, our school is a Verizon Innovative Learning School. So as a part of that program where all of our students get one-to-one iPad devices, they have the opportunity to use those devices to create content. So that is wonderful. We've actually purchased materials for next year for our students to be able to explore that even further. So having these films and different projects shows the kids the possibility of what they can do.
That's awesome. And that's one of the plans too. You're right, that we want to make it more student driven, their voices. So we were excited. We had the conversation yesterday of setting up the film studio upstairs. That's been there for how many years, but nobody's really used it. Right. So we're having that opportunity now to let them have a voice to express themselves. So we're excited to see what they're going to say through film with that. Nathaniel
and Brenny, talk about this in this process. I mean, you guys did it. it's in the can. Here it is at the Charlotte Black Film Festival. I'm sure it's screening in other places. What were the learning keys that you guys got out of just actually doing something for yourselves? Talk about what you got out of this.
I'll jump in. I think, and I think Lin Q touched on this earlier. One of the things that, I realized right away that was crucial to this process was the idea of like, having a tribe and having networks and connections, because really I believe that everything is, intentional and it happens the way it's supposed to happen. One of Lin Q's classmates, who's also a director and writer, I worked with him as an actor on one of his films. We connected. When B-Sides came together, we were looking for a director. We got, into a situation where we needed a director. I reached out to him and said, hey, do you know anyone? Because we specifically wanted a Black woman, given that is the, the characters, we wanted someone that could really relate to them in that way. And Lin Q was one of the names he gave us. Again, connection. And then the production designer and the script supervisor were also classmates of Lin Q's, via these connections. One of the sound people was someone I'd worked with on a film earlier. So it then becomes that artistic family she's talking about, so that when we're on set and we're experiencing the challenges that, you run into with, money for things and time and, always needing more hours in a shoot day and how you cope with these things and come together. I think that's when those connections really come in, because you've built those relationships. And so when we're all under pressure and under the gun, you can relate to each other in a different way than you would have if you were just complete strangers. And there wasn't not only that common bond, but also the commonality of wanting to see this project coming to fruition, and everybody that came on board really believing in not only the characters, but the story that we were trying to tell.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Finding a tribe is so very important, that you can trust. And that here's a key thing I find, that you can submit one to another. So even though I started off about who's the head, it's like everybody's the head and everybody's the servant. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's serving for the better good of the project. Nathaniel.
For me, I learned, well, one of the lessons I learned, there were so many, but one of the lessons and keys I learned that I still carry to this day is that you have to be willing to be broken. Because there's going to be so many times throughout the whole process where your artistry will be questioned, and it should be questioned, because it has to make you dig deeper and be more solidified in where you stand as an artist and in what the product that you're putting out. So a lot of times you're going to be questioning yourself. You're going to be questioning the outcome. You're going to be questioning if the effort is even worth it. There'll be so many questions that flood in your mind, but you just have to know and with trust within yourself that everything that you're doing is for what you already know in your heart to be true about yourself.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I mean, and for the weak at heart, the film industry is really, and you can have a moment. We all have moments, but get over it quickly. You know what I mean? And don't let your moment interfere with the production process. Okay, let's make sure it's there. You can have a moment, but get over it very quickly. So, and that's one of the things I find too. We have a meetup. We meet monthly, and we did some collaboration on doing projects under the auspices of the meetup. Well, we produced it, and no one knew each other, but we produced it. And now, some of the folks have taken that project as their own versus giving the meetup its proper due for assembling everyone, producing this project, finding locations to make that happen. So it's very, very interesting when you talk about that and being trustworthy and like I say, being broken, because that's part of growth. Being broken, that's part of growth. Talk about this. I mean, Constant and Ms. Lumpkin, you guys have been doing multiple projects with young people. What kind of influence now has your school, based upon what you guys have done? What kind of influence or impact has that had in the city itself with other young people? Other schools?
I think it's had a great impact, especially when you talk about bridging the gaps, feeder bands of the schools. I think the community has seen Carol City Middle School, along with other surrounding schools, whether it be the high school, and families that have really begun to connect together, and that we all have a voice of creativity there. I think it's changed the landscape tremendously, because for those that don't know, Carroll City Middle School and that surrounding area where we're located was an F school. They were about to shut this school down. The community was affected by it. I mean, the landscape of people were not, you see them on the news, the Channel 7 news, there's a shooting here and there. Nobody really wanted to be in that area, period, as the kids would say. So through the projects we've been doing at the school and having a principal who creates a platform for the teachers to really explore. And you talk about the tribe, we're called Chief Nation, Carroll City Middle School. So we talk about being a tribe, mentoring kids. For the last 3 years or so, we've seen tremendous change in our community, in our families, in our educators, and the students has been phenomenal. Now, the testing, the data, the personalities, and just having a safe haven is one of our mottos, has been transformative. I cannot say enough about it. I love where I work. We fight for our students. And we don't have to fight, but we do fight for our students, I mean, I'll take your earring off if you need to, but we're there. And I don't know what is left. Oh my God, I want her to speak. But
she was commenting at the time.
Yeah. So it's changed the educational platform for us a lot. I cannot say enough about.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've had students, and they would literally tell me, Mr. Nichols, if it was not for your class, I wouldn't be coming to school.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Can I say something? Can I say something just about Constance and what you guys are doing? First of all, kudos to you guys, because honestly, art is what saved my life as a child. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for music, film, and television. Straight up, I would not be here. So the fact that you guys are in the dirt, getting people young people involved in this, and they learn literacy. They have to count their money. They got to, you know what I'm saying? It's real, and it's such an incentive because it's something that's so deep in our culture. I feel like entertainment saved our asses as Black people. You know what I mean? That's why we're good at it. You know what I mean? It saved our asses, So it's such a beautiful thing to see you guys out there doing this for young people, because they can actually, my hope is that they also see themselves, not just young girls, although when they see B-sides, they're going to see themselves in us, but that the young boys do see themselves also, in narratives that are reaching beyond what we've seen about our race for the last, I don't know how many years, So kudos to you guys. I look forward to actually seeing your stuff, because I haven't been able to see anything yet. But I'm sorry, I just had to jump in on that real quick.
That's fine. It's great.
And you said something there. You said how entertainment saved us. You said that, and it took me directly to the cotton fields of slavery. And it was the song. It was the song that allowed them to get through that day. You know what I'm saying? So it took me right there when you said that, which is, it's so interesting. And you're right. That's who we are. And students they need just one thing for the light bulb to come on. Just one thing. And the light bulb will come on, and everything else prospers. All the other classes, everything, that one thing. And so here in Charlotte, the county has held up $54 million from the public school system. $54 million because of the education gap and the disparities. Get it right, create a plan, or we're not giving you the money. Yes, 54 million. So they're serious. They're serious. So let's get back to this film. B-side. It's like, if I look at a program today on TV, what program? Now, don't go too deep, because you go to a different layer than anything on TV. Okay, we're talking about TV shows and B-side. It goes to that other level. But on the surface side, is there anything on TV that if you had to pitch this to the studios, and of course they're saying, what is your comps? Is there anything out there that you guys can say that you could match the B-side?
One of our comps is How to Get Away with Murder.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You want me to go deeper? You said don't go too deep, so I stopped.
You see how, because I talked to guys yesterday, so I know where, this can go. Is there another one besides that one?
Well, there's Girlfriends, but that's not on, what neither is How to Get Away with Murder.
Right.
But I would say Girlfriends because of the sisterhood bond. We like the historical context and the family bond of This Is Us, and the relationship journey and the respect and the growth between the married couple. You see a Black man and a Black woman actually dealing with their problems, communicating, learning, growing. And the kind of the humor side is we kind of tease and say Sex in the City without the white privilege.
Okay. Wow, Lynn, you was nodding about one. I think you had another one because you were thinking about unmute yourself.
Well, I wasn't. Honestly, I just feel like there's so many different things that B-Sides tackled. Like there's so many different concepts, and for me, I think of it on a filmmaker. So it's not just storylines; it's also way things are shot. How things are approached. So it can be now. Waiting Till Exhale is not a TV show. It's not a TV show, but it makes me think of Waiting to Exhale. It makes me to think of Atlanta. It makes me think of Insecure. It's just these relationships amongst women, and Insecure. Atlanta for the cinematic. It just has a very cinematic approach to Black stories. And Waiting to Exhale, I like how they have the different age groups and that these women's are different places in their lives. So, I mean, I feel like B-Sides, because it's an ensemble, you can kind of pick little things from other places and it still kind of coincides.
Good. Awesome. Well, I believe we lost her. So let's do this, go around the room. Tell me what is next. I guess my next question is for the team from B-Side. You guys put together this production team for this film. Is this now your team? So if we're looking at more content to come, is it coming from this production team, or did you guys just come together? Hold on. Just come together for this project? Is it a permanent relationship, or is it just a weekend fling?
No, we did not just come together for one project. This is it could have been a one night stand to a relationship if you want to go there. But we have continued. It's like we kind of walk in step, and we all have different personalities, but we're a team now. We feel like this is the boat where if there's a hole in, we know who has what job to keep the water on and keep the boat going until we can make it to shore.
That's awesome. I think that's really awesome. And then just seeing you guys, you can see the uniqueness, that you have, and just bringing that to any particular project, this is super, super interesting. You know what I mean? And so talk about what's next. I mean, this project is here. What's next for the product? And what's the company? Is it a production company name or?
Now, in which frame are you talking about? Are you talking about project-wise, or are you talking about B-Sides?
Well, do you guys have a name for a production company?
Rabina Row Productions, and Lynn Q has her own production company.
Right.
So yeah, when we first started writing, we were under a different production company. We're no longer under that production company. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like relationships. I mean, production teams are like real relationships in real life. You know what I mean? And so it depends on who gets what out of the relationship.
Lynn Q, you want to tell them your production company, and then Brenny can tell you a little bit more about what's next for B-Sides.
The name of my production company is called Illusionary Ends, and I love it. It's all about film, television, and web stuff. I just like storytelling. So whatever I can get my hands on, that's what it's about for me. So, Bren.
Thank you. I mean, so, not to give anything away, but, obviously there are a lot of questions when you come to the end of the pilot. And so, what's next is hopefully being able to answer those questions. And we did, take the time to kind of map out what that would look like and where these characters are heading. And they all have, very, very different challenges and things that they're facing. And I think when people come to the end of the pilot, they're going to be very curious about where each of these women, lands, where the relationships that they're in land. And so I think, should all go as, planned, our lips to God's ears, we would be able to, share that and, to be able to bring these women hopefully into people's homes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Candace, talk about the funding. You work with the students and you also do your own projects. Talk about funding. This is for everyone. What are the methods you use to solicit funding for your project?
With some of the projects we've done with our school, we actually network with some of the commissioners in a particular area. We may do some fundraising with the kids as well, that we sell certain items for certain grades. We definitely do that as well. We're going to be definitely doing the other two series with social justice that's going to focus on education and also Black Lives Matter. So we're going to continue to network with the community along with getting funding for those particular resources regarding that.
And how about you with your personal projects?
On my personal projects, sometimes I just do like volunteer work. Some people donate funds. I set up an account where I can just, when I do extra things, will place funds there as well. We have sponsorships and donations from people that just really, really love us and care about the project. So the one I'm going to do with my mom, believe it or not, wrote a book called Taiho's Winter. It's based in New Mexico. So we're going to be looking for probably either GoFundMe or another platform for that to assist with those particular funds.
Wow, that's with your mother?
Yes, my mother. Yeah, she lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A great writer. She's an education person. She's a diva.
Yes.
I tell you. So she has written a beautiful story that we're going to want to make into a film. So I was like, yeah, it's really beautiful. And she normally does like Christian, like Bible written things like that. And so she's stepping out on her own.
Ooh.
But she's so dramatic. She has a degree in drama too. So
Yes.
Have you ever met her, Elizabeth Harrison McBurrows? Beautiful spirit. So in the time of her life now that she's she's much mature now. This is really a great honor to do this for her. It really, really is. Yes.
And I told you I shot your mother dancing, correct?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. Oh my Lord. Yes.
Did you see that video?
Huh?
Did you ever see that video?
No, I need to see that.
I'll send you the link. And I tell you, because she's moving.
Yes.
And I never shot dance before.
Oh, wow.
But you will see the connection of the spirit and how the camera flowed with that. I'm gonna send you the link to that. It was a while ago. It was about 2012 or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was amazing. The ministry was amazing. Well,
So
good.
all of that's going to come out of her. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Well, good. And this was in Ohio before we met, so it was interesting. So guys, talk about, your project. I mean, what have you guys seen to be the most successful? And these are for other filmmakers out there who are looking to even begin the process of creating a short. What steps or what was the process to get funding for your projects? Is it OPM or is it my own money?
Well, first off, congratulations to Constance, because one thing I was noticing with you when you did the credits was just all those different organizations and individuals that just poured into it. I was all like, that is wonderful, because that is the hardest thing to do as far as getting funding. And you seem to master that with the community. But with ours, it was actually our own resources. And then eventually we turned over to GoFundMe. And there was also outside favors we had to call in, but that stepped in. But again, everybody that contributed or that we sought from, they believed in the story, and more so they believed in us.
That's good. That's good. How about you, Lynn, for your projects?
I actually have my thesis film Cracked, which just screened at Tribeca Film Festival, and it's going to be screening at the LA Shorts International Film Festival next month. I I was a student when I applied for a grant. I think that's an amazing way for people, no matter where they are in their careers, to get some type of funding. There's so many opportunities, especially right now for people of color, Black people, Indigenous people, and women, and people who are living with disabilities. I'm saying to take advantage of it now because we don't know how long the door is going to stay open. But there are a lot of like labs, grants. There are a lot of brands that are getting into funding shorts, commercials, music videos, where now brand placement is becoming a bigger thing. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. I mean, get on your websites. There are labs that you can go to with Sundance and IFP, which is now Gotham. Like there's so many opportunities to get out there and do it. And even for young people, even younger people, there may be stuff, constants that your students can actually benefit from. So it's just important to kind of, I mean, I always also encourage people, like people are so, oh, well, I got to get a camera and I got to get this. You can learn so much just on YouTube. You don't have to go to film school, one. And you can use your phone. You can use your phone. So even these young kids can just like go out and create a movie and edit it and use their phones. So I wouldn't let anything stop you. Let you know that your whatever you create on your phone could be your proof of concept to actually garner more money, for whether it be development money or let's do a whole pilot or let's do a whole short. So there are many opportunities out there.
Yeah, Sundance has this nationwide, it's broken up to regions, this media content. I forget the name. I'm on the Southwest region, and we're always finding out about information about grants, always different about what's happening. As a result of that group, I spoke at South Arts. So other opportunities came through that. And then I got a link about a grant, and I didn't know who these people were. I applied for it and I got $2,000.
You see what I'm saying?
So yeah, so you're absolutely right. There are a lot of grants out there. People want to hear our voices. They want to be in our space, and it seems that folks are trying to make up for some things. And, you know, like you said, there's a window of opportunity, and you just got to research and find out what it is and seize the moment. And the
I just want to.
response.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry to talk over you.
It's not that difficult. It's not difficult to respond. Go ahead.
One of the things I just forgot this, and shout out to Spike Lee, but I was in school. So at NYU, he's a creative advisor there. So I was able to get a grant from him. He does a grant every year for students of Tisch. So I was able to get the grant for that year for my film. So there are other filmmakers out there that are doing the same thing, whether it's Ava DuVernay, you know, there's Lena Waithe is doing stuff where I think it's Rising Voices. So there's so many things that even other Black filmmakers and artists are doing as well. So look into everything.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, good. We're about done with our time. But let's go around the room and just talk about, I know you guys talked about your next is your, well, you really didn't tell me what your next is. So I think Brittany began to talk about, she opened it up. She didn't give us nothing because she didn't want us to try to figure nothing out on that piece. I heard what you said. But talk about, you danced around that. Yeah. So talk about what you guys are doing next. What's next for each and every one of you guys? And what is your personally? I know you guys are working as a group, but what do you want to achieve personally in this space called film? Katasha, let's start with you.
My ultimate goal is just to shift the cultural and historical landscape of the television industry in regards to the Black experience, and that includes the Black Latin experience. There's, for me personally, I am constantly on a soapbox because there's always this distinction between being Black and being Latina, and like they don't exist together. And so writing characters that really show that on screen, because whether we believe it or not, Hollywood influences how we perceive the world. So shifting that landscape is so important to me. And so in writing, I have 2 pilots that I'm working on. One is a second rounder in a Sundance episodic lab. It's called Miami Rising, and I'm actually in the midst of writing a sci-fi pilot. And both leading ladies are Black Latina. So those are different ways. Also, body positivity. I have a documentary which Lynn Q is also the co-director on, and it's called Obesodemic. And then my partnerships and working with Nate and Brenny and Lynn Q and Malvia, who you met yesterday, that's not going anywhere. We're all stuck. We're stuck together, even though we have our own projects as well.
Yeah. Nathan, how about yourself?
Well, with me, where I went when I graduated from master's, it was actually in playwriting. So my focus is really primarily stage, but in that arena, I want to explore, well, one of my duties is to actually explore Black college life at HBCU. So that it's a life that's not explored, and I want to explore actually the psychological realms, because that is not talked about. There's more to us than just the step lines, and it's a part of it. And Greek life, it does play a part, but there's more to it than that.
That's interesting. Even the influence of that life on college students. So that's very, very interesting. Constant, let's go with you. You got excited over that.
I did get excited because I just submitted my name for a proposal, because I used to be a Prince and J Set at JSU, and we're having our 50th year anniversary. So they sent a proposal out for those who want to film that weekend of the homecoming this coming October, which I did put our name on the plate to capture the behind the scenes of the process of the ladies, the sonic boom, and all of that. But he's right, the culture and the behind the scenes has its own story, its own language, its own food, its own smell. So I got excited because that's coming in October, hoping to get a chance to be able to do that. So that experience is totally different. But that's why I got excited, because I was like, yep, on that road right there. Jackson State University.
Jackson State, got you.
Jackson State, JSU, Jackson State University. Yeah, it's on a roll now with Mr. Deion Sanders now, so it's getting a lot of life.
Yeah.
And all of that. But I'm going to do that. But I want to make sure, I want to continue to work with dance, film, and education. I got a chance to explore a 30 film this year. We're working with kids outside of the walls of the auditorium and going outside and dance, and it turned out really well. Definitely want to continue to explore that landscape and make it more organic in the history of dance and liturgical dance itself.
Awesome. Lynn.
Hi, yes. I'm working on writing a feature. I have writing a second feature. I have a first feature, but that needs money, so it's probably going to be something that's going to happen along some. Well, we'll see. You never know. But I'm working on actually a feature to the short my thesis short, Cracked. And I'm working on a number of other things. I have another TV series that I'm co-writing, co-producing, as well as directing, called Zeta Please, that focuses on a Latina who is a teacher by day in an all-girl school for troubled teens, that's predominantly brown and Black people, children. And she's a stand-up comedian at night, not a very unsuccessful stand-up comedian. So there's that, and I just want to, I try to just jump on things that I believe in, because I need to be around other artists. It's such a joy to be around everyone here, because it feeds me. You know what I mean? So anything where I can, even if it's just talking to someone, I always try to like create these relationships, because it just inspires me to go higher and higher with my craft.
Rennie.
So, you know, besides the acting and producing, I'm also a writer, and I've really been fascinated, you know, as of late with stories that revolve particularly around Liberia. You know, a lot of times Africa is written as a monolith. You get the one accent, the one, you know, viewpoint, and each country has its own, you know, cultures within the culture, obviously, but we're all very, very different. And I don't see stories about Liberia. So that's been my focus. I have a pilot I've written called Old Time Sakes, which deals with first generation Liberians and how like those intergenerational relationships play out when you're in America, still being raised like you're in Africa. And then I have a feature trilogy that will be 3 stories: my story, my mother's story, and my grandmother's story. My grandmother being, you know, in Liberia all her life and coming here in her later years, my mom coming at a young age, and then me being first generation. So my portion of that is called Come See Trouble, but the other 2 are, you know, soon to come. And then because I'm a theater kid, I'm also working on a play about the adultification of Black girls. Like I hate the thing that people do to Black girls where they call them fast for breathing, existing, you know, they walk a certain way, they're fast. So this play is going to examine that from the perspective of young Black girls.
Interesting. Transparent moment. I used to date someone from Liberia. I really, I was crazy about her, but I was scared. She's my first African female I've ever dated. And she talked about home so much, I thought she was going to leave me.
Ah.
True story, transparent. I thought, and now, of course, I'm older, I know better. I mean, you know, you want to support home, you love home, that's your culture of home, but you're not leaving America, but that's, you know, part of your culture, and she was really trying to bring it to me, and I didn't know how to receive it.
You could have gone home with her.
Anyway, I was in the, just
Laka.
today, yes. Today, yes. Today, yes. But yeah, I was somewhere else. But yeah, I always talk about that. And she's a nurse here in Ohio. Just really, really Christian girl. So really, it was great. But yeah. But anyway, that's transparent moment's over. But anyway, when you talk about Liberia, I just, you know, but you write about that. You never hear about Liberia.
No.
You hear about you hear about Ghana, you hear about Kenya, you hear about everywhere else, but you don't hear about Liberia. So that's interesting.
Soon come.
Soon to come. Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, listen, I appreciate you guys. We're running back to back for Friday Q&As. And so the next group is supposed to come in at 8 o'clock, and they're chiming in now, you know, to get tuned in today because tomorrow's the Red Carpet Vision Awards. I wish you guys were going to come. Are you guys coming?
We wish we were.
We wish too. Yeah, we wish
We'll
too.
be there virtually.
Yes.
Yeah, but we just wrapped with Lin Q, Tribeca, and now we're in another one. So it's a lot going on.
Good, okay. But is any of them offering you dancing?
Well, I tell you what, if you have one next year, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
Invite us next year.
Couldn't answer that, could you? But anyway, anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
The Charlotte Black Film Festival. So, all right, guys, take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.